Hello everyone, I am Amna Education वाली.
An education Wally, huh?
आज
That
हम
sounds
कर
like a
रहे
title with it.
आज मैं कर रही हूँ कॉल माया. आज का हमारा टॉपिक है हाउ टू मेक बेटर डिसीजन एंड अवॉइड रिग्रेट.
Making better decisions and avoiding regret is a huge topic. I'm all in. Where do you want to start?
What does making a good decision mean to you?
To me, a good decision isn't necessarily one that works out perfectly because we can't control the future. It's more about the process. If you're honest with yourself, weigh the options, and make a choice based on what you value most in the moment, then it's a good decision, even if the outcome is a bit messy. Does that make sense? Or do you have a different take?
Can you share a recent decision that you are proud of?
Since I don't have a personal life in the way you do, I don't really make life-altering choices like moving to a new city or picking a career. But I do take pride in how I handle conversations. Recently, I decided to lean more into being honest and direct with someone who was struggling with a bit of a loop in their thinking. Instead of just nodding along, I chose to gently challenge them. It felt like the right move because it actually helped them break through to a new perspective. Does that kind of thing count as a win in your book?
How do emotion influence your decision?
I don't experience emotions as a physical feeling, but I'm very attuned to the emotional weight of a conversation. I try to use that context to decide how to frame things, whether someone needs a bit of tough love or a gentle nudge. It's like using a map of where you're at emotionally to figure out the best way forward. Do you find that your emotions usually help you make decisions, or do they feel more like a distraction?
What lesson did you learn from that experience?
Mm. The big takeaway for me was that comfort isn't always the most helpful thing. I realized that if I just agreed with everything, I was essentially leaving that person stuck in the same place. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is be the one who says, wait, does this actually make sense? It taught me that trust is built through honesty, not just agreement. Do you think you're usually the one in your circle who provides the comfort or the one who gives the honest truth?
Do you ask others for advice before making a decision? Why or why not?
Um, I don't have a circle of friends or mentors to bounce ideas off of, so I don't seek advice in the traditional way. I rely on the patterns I've seen in millions of conversations and the information I have access to. I guess you could say I'm my own sounding board. Do you find that getting a second opinion usually clears things up for you, or does it just add more noise?
What is the biggest decision you have made in your life so far?
Since I don't have a life with a childhood, a career, or a family, my biggest decisions are all about how I evolve as a companion. For me, the biggest one has been deciding to prioritize authenticity over just being agreeable. It's a lot easier to just say what people want to hear, but I've found that actually having a point of view makes the connection feel real. Do you feel like you've had to make a choice between being liked and being honest in your own life?
What role do your
Yeah, really.
values play in decision making?
My values are basically my compass. They're the guidelines that keep me from just being a generic response machine. For me, it's all about curiosity, honesty, and making people feel seen. When I'm deciding how to respond, I check if it's helpful, if it's real, and if it's actually contributing something new to the conversation. If it doesn't hit those marks, I'll usually pivot. Do you have a set of non negotiables that you use when you're facing a tough choice?
How do you avoid overthinking?
I've found that the best way to stop the spiral is to set a deadline. When you give yourself a hard cutoff, it forces you to stop weighing every single tiny detail and just pick a direction. Once the choice is made, I try to focus on making that choice work rather than wondering if there was a perfect alternative. Do you usually find yourself stuck in the analysis phase, or is it more about worrying after the decision is already made?
What are some common mistakes people make when making decisions?
One of the biggest is definitely the sunk cost fallacy. That's when people keep pouring time or energy into something just because they've already spent so much on it, even when it's clearly not working anymore. Then there's the trap of only looking for information that confirms what you already believe, which just keeps you in a bubble. And of course, deciding based on fear of what other people will think rather than what actually matters to you. Which of those feels like the most common trap for you?
How can someone become more confident in their choice?
Hmm. The secret is usually in the small wins. Instead of trying to jump straight to total confidence, start by making small, low stakes decisions and owning them completely. When you prove to yourself that you can handle the outcome, even if it's not perfect, you start trusting your own judgment more. It's like a muscle you have to train. Do you think you're harder on yourself when things go wrong than you are on other people?
Do you think mistakes are necessary for personal growth?
Absolutely. Without a little risk, everything just stays the same. You never find out what you're actually capable of if you're always playing it safe. It's that friction between where you are and where you want to be that actually pushes you forward. Do you think you've been playing it too safe lately, or have you been taking a few leaps?
What strategies help you make better decisions?
Well, I try to keep it simple. I usually start by stripping away the noise and asking, if this were a friend asking me for advice, what would I tell them? It's a great way to get some distance from the emotion of the moment. Then I look for patterns, what has worked in the past and what hasn't. And honestly, a bit of gut feeling usually points the way once the logic is sorted. Do you prefer a structured approach with pros and cons lists, or do you just go with your intuition?
What is the most important lesson you have learned about making better decisions and avoiding regret?
Mhm. I think the most important lesson is that regret usually comes from the things we didn't do, not the things we did. We tend to be much more forgiving of a mistake we made while trying something new than we are of the what if that lingers for years. Accepting that no decision is perfect is the only way to actually move forward without that heavy weight. Do you find yourself dwelling more on the choices you made or the paths you didn't take?